What's up, Guardians? Been a little bit, but we're looking forward to Renegades right now. We are just over a month away. And in that time, I'm waiting for hopefully some kind of update and patch notes for Gunslinger. As one of probably the worst subclasses in the game right now, it kind of deserves a bit of a tune up. And part of that is, it doesn't have all four aspects that the other classes have. This is the last Hunter subclass with 3 aspects. So I am waiting for that 4th aspect to come in, and I was kind of waiting for that to happen before we even got to Renegades. So I feel like we're a bit behind on that front. And we do have some minor tweaks coming here or there as we've gone through the Edge of Fate, with the On Your Mark aspect getting 2 changes. First giving Radiant, then giving Cure. Now it gives Weapon Stat as well, stacks up to 10 times. It's basically wholly reworked. I do think it is a more interesting aspect now, but we are still missing that 4th aspect, and for the most part, Gunslinger doesn't really get much use because its main thing, which is Nighthawk bot, has been taken over by Prismatic Hunter. You have Marksman Golden Gun on Prismatic, you have Smoke Bombs to give you bonus damage on your Golden Gun and giving you Radiant, the same way you get Radiant with Torches on Solar, so there's not really a built-in reason to play Solar over Prismatic if you're trying to use Golden Gun and Nighthawk, which is its main appeal in DPS scenarios. Gunpowder Gamble, which is the interesting part for ad clear, is also the Prismatic aspect for Solar. So you don't even get to kind of do a Gunpowder Gamble build on this that you wouldn't be able to do on Prismatic. Knock 'em down is a powerful aspect. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, like increased duration on the super, making Blade Barrage actually do more damage. Those are good effects. Refunding your throwing knife does lead to some melee builds like Ophidius Faith and Caliban's do work. Those are builds that work on Solar Hunter, but they're not the kind of builds you really want to be doing when you're playing Solar Hunter, because the majority of Solar Hunter wants to be a gun platform. You have so much access to Radiant. You have very limited healing unless you now are running On Your Mark with Cure, but that is relying on weapon kills. So you're either building into this knife spam or you're building into trying to spam Nighthawks. And that's pretty much it. You have a very small leeway to go for an explosive build. I do think Gunpowder Gamble with something like, was it Blistering? No, one Char. Spreading Ignitions, kind of like the Hellion builds that we have now. That has a space, I think, and can be explored, but it's just hard to say that it competes with just playing Prismatic or pretty much any other Hunter class. So I think realistically we want to push this build even more into that gun platform DPS mainstay. There should be a reason to take this over Prismatic in a raid boss scenario, or if you're running dungeons with your friends. This should provide something to your team, and it doesn't really do that now that anybody else can't do. Well of Radiance is giving out Radiant. Any Solar Titan is giving out Radiant pretty much. Prismatic, everybody's got Radiant pretty much whenever they need. So giving out Radiant isn't the main thing that you want to be doing because you don't really need to. What would you be able to provide to a team with a Solar Hunter that would make it interesting in a team play situation? I think there are 2 avenues to go here, and this is what I want our aspect to really focus on. I think either we need to go into a more healing aspect, or we need to lean more into a damage aspect. The 2 ways that I can think of doing this, and you could even combine these potentially, I just don't want to say let's do them together and just one or the other wouldn't be strong. But I think you want to lean more into Acrobat Dodge. Acrobat Dodge is on Solar Hunter and Prismatic, but it's been introduced on Solar Hunter and it basically gets no use, right? This gives you a way to contribute to your team and proc things like Benevolence. And I think Benevolence is a very strong aspect, and kind of, if it works with Benevolence, it's working with this idea. The Acrobat's Dodge is strong with no support. There's no exotic that buffs it up. There's no Solar Hunter build that is purely support and then a little bit of extra stuff for doing damage with Nighthawk. If you are able to take Acrobat's dodge and give it an aspect that boosts Acrobat's dodge performance in some way, I think you're going to see a new kind of build emerge that could potentially give it a slot in raid and dungeon DPS scenarios. The two ways I think about it are you could either have Acrobat's dodge with this aspect, leave behind a healing rift basically, or maybe provide restoration and radiant at the same time, both of them at maybe 10 seconds and 15 if you have Solace on or the raid set. That would make a pretty powerful effect, I think. Even in neutral, just doing that and then having Benevolence on, maybe something else to cycle a secondary buff in there like your Healing Grenade or Knife Trick with torches, that would get you another set of Benevolence procs to give you more cooldown. That could help potentially replace Rifts and Wells. Not necessarily you're going to do that job better, but if you're able to do the job well enough that you don't need to bring a well, now you are in a place where a Solar Hunter could potentially do the part of a Solar Warlock, letting a Warlock player play something else for once. As a Hunter player, the main support thing that we've only been able to do is Invis and Tether. And that's always, fun. Who doesn't like using Tether and doing Invis? But Tractor Cannon, Div, other weaken effects. We have so many weaken effects in the game now. There are so many ways to apply weaken that Support Hunter isn't really a thing anymore. You can do Invis for rezzing, and that's pretty much all that we do. So I think giving a healing section to Acrobat's dodge to boost it up and make that a more viable building block for a loadout is a really interesting move. The other way you could go with this laterally is to focus more on offense instead of that defensive benefit. Maybe you're not going to replace a Well Warlock. Well is forever, Well is eternal. So maybe instead you lean into Scorching Rounds. Scorching Rounds is currently only on Song of Flame, and I think it's a pretty cool effect. It's not something that you really use the super for. You're not really using it because it scorches. However, if you give Scorching Rounds to a mid-game, not super-based build, then now there is a new way to play. Think like Storm's Keep for Titans, how Bolt Charge really changed up how Arc Titan plays and contributes to a team. Scorching Rounds could do that if it wasn't super dependent. Now making it Acrobat's dodge dependent, I think doubles down on the offensive benefits of Acrobat dodge, right? You're giving the Radiant, giving the Scorching Rounds, which boosts damage for anybody using kinetic or solar weapons. It's kind of like Burning Ambition for anybody who does not know. And it should stack with Burning Ambition, so if everybody has Scorching Rounds and Burning Ambition, you're going to double apply Scorch, so you'll get ignitions off just even faster. Giving that as an aspect would be, I think, pretty cool. And if you are doing that, then all of a sudden you're also able to take advantage of something like Ember of Singeing and Benevolence at the same time, where you're applying a Scorch, gives you faster class ability cooldown, and then giving that to your teammates would also give you faster ability cooldown, meaning you could cycle it over and over during a damage phase. Or potentially, if you do go the route of combining both of those versions of the aspect, so that you have a healing restoration effect and Scorching Rounds on Acrobat dodge, you are committing a whole aspect to that. I don't think it's too strong for PvE, where we are typically using things like Well. Well is obviously going to be the main choice. It's not still going to make Solar Hunter the de facto DPS choice, but it does give you a niche that you might not otherwise see Hunter be able to play. I think it would be interesting, even in solo builds, if you're able to lean into that Scorching Rounds thing with a Burning Ambition weapon, then maybe you're able to go in with more solo builds into dungeons, focus on Burning Ambition and Scorching Rounds to provide bonus DPS, similar to how Titans can go in and just use Storm's Keep. I really do like the idea of abilities like Storm's Keep being team support, but also functionally very good solo. And I think Solar Hunter would really appreciate this change of pace. You could go with a healing auto if you're, I'm not going to say a lower skill player, but if you want to be more chill, you don't want to be going for really cool DPS rotations, you could load into a dungeon or a raid with a healing auto on Solar Hunter, get to play Hunter if that's your main, build. You run Nighthawk so you have damage super, and then you pop Acrobat's dodge. You're doing your new aspect to give healing and Scorching Rounds to your teammates. You give Benevolence proc, and just kind of maintaining that, chucking out healing grenades when you need them, as well as just giving out radiant whenever you need with knife trick. And maybe eventually we're going to let go of torches being a must pick on every solar build. Maybe you're taking lightweight knives to give some extra stuff in there, or what may you, right? But we already have some ways to build an Acrobat's dodge, like Speed Loader Slacks and Radiant Dance Machines, which just don't really have much use when we're not really using the rest of the kit. There's just not much synergy in Solar Hunter right now. And I think we are in a better spot than we were before Edge of Fate. On your mark, giving 50 weapon stat at 10 stacks, which has no downtime in the stacking anymore. There used to be a short cooldown between stacks that has been removed. So you can quickly get to plus 50 weapons for your entire team, plus extra reload and handling speed, which is pretty strong. The Cure finally gives Hunter a way to heal mid-combat. It's a nice benefit, but none of these truly synergize together the way something like on Arc, Flow State and Lethal Current, Flow State and Tempest Strike directly tie in together. They proc one another with Combination Blow, giving you even more damage now with Tempest Strike. Ascension and Lethal Current can work together. So all of these do synergize in some way. Solar Hunter just doesn't have that. I would like to promote this team play angle, which is kind of what they've been doing with these aspects, right? On the Prowl is team play based. Storm's Keep is team play based. I would like to see that still be paid attention to. I want that to be the focus. So let me know what you guys think of that idea. Would you be interested in an aspect that makes Acrobat's dodge interesting? Obviously, this aspect would not go to Prismatic. It'd be only on Solar. So would that be enough for you to consider playing Solar? Now consider, Scorching Rounds would let you build Gunpowder Gamble stacks faster because you get 2 stacks, I think, for killing a Scorch target instead of just a regular gun kill. So you would get more Gunpowder Gambles. It would actively contribute to something like Singeing and looping back into itself. You would probably be able to use something like Eruption and Char and Ashes to get more ignitions off your gunplay. And then maybe you could stack that with On Your Mark to get some healing and go for that gun-based build, but still have a little bit of grenade support. There's no cooldown, right? Because it's Gunpowder Gamble. So it does synergize a little bit more than something like a Chaos Accelerant clone would. Let me know what you think down below. I will talk to you all again very, very soon.